That's right.
And they literally told me, like, bro, if you don't get this handle, like, you're not fighting, period.
I actually had to represent you when you got arrested for a DUI.
Yeah, that was stupid as hell. Like that case, I'm glad you saved me. I'm glad you know, Greg. Listen, if anybody don't know in Pensacola, Greg Whibbs, you can go on Facebook, follow him. I'm gonna tag him after the podcast. Honestly, that case when you came to save my ass, like I had a lot. Let me see. When you saved my ass, it literally saved my ass to the point that I wasn't going to fight your first, because it was my first UFC fight.
That's right.
And they literally told me, like, bro, if you don't get this handle, like, you're not fighting, period.
Wow.
And I had so many people, like, was coming to the fight and all this. And then when you saved my ass and told me, like, dude, like, you know, hey, we got to sum down to just some fines.
Well, it was wild because most people, when they see DUI and they see you got arrested for DUI, they say, well, SD was out drinking, he drank too much, he drove, you know, he got in a wreck. It was none of that.
Yeah, no,
right?
none of that.
It literally no alcohol at all, blue zeros. But the officer seemed to believe that you had smoked weed and that you were under the influence to the point where it wasn't safe for you to drive.
Yeah, that was crazy. And when he pulled me over at all, when he pulled me over, like I even told the dude, like, bro, I just got done smoking like 3 hours ago. I don't.
Well, you had been at training.
Yeah, I was at training like all day, and I told him that. I'm like, dude, I can barely even stand up on my legs right now. Like I'm shaking. I'm tired as hell. He's looking at me like, nah, I don't believe it. I'm like, dude, you can grab my clothes in the back and see they're still dripping with sweat. Like I just had to get done. I think I had to run 8 miles that day, then wrestle for about 45 minutes, and then also fucking climb up a rope. And that shit was that was hell. And my arms were shaking, and on top of it, it was it was cold outside. I think it was too, and it was raining. He had me sitting right there, and I'm like, dude, I'm in my fucking shorts that has no underwear on right now, and I'm shaking. Yeah. And it was crazy. Well, so
it was a complete misunderstanding as far as I'm concerned. Like they totally missed the mark on that, and it was unfortunate for you, but I guess fortunate that you and I are friends, and I was able to jump in and move the ball a little bit, move the needle a little bit, and
you saved me.
Get you to where you needed to be, to where you could get back, back in the cage.
Because man, I'm gonna tell you right now, like I was stressing, like. You don't know, like when you saved my ass that day, like I was stressing my ass off because I was like, dude, like I need to fight. Like this is some bullshit, and it was already the bullshit about the shit that happened. Like I don't know if anybody have heard of, but the bullshit that happened downtown in Seville. Like the UFC was kind of like, hey, dude, like we already getting fucking complaints from you, and you haven't had your fucking UFC fight, and they was kind of like, hey, Abe, like what's going on? But when they found out all this shit was like bullshit, they was like, are they targeting him every time he get close to a fight, or what is it? And same thing happened again. Like, one of these officers pulled me over for no reason and asked me like, hey man, don't you got a fight coming up? And I was like, dude, what the fuck you just did that for, bro? And I'm like, yeah, well, I just make sure everything was good and da-da-da. I'm like, dude, what? He's like, I'm like, do you got a medical card now? And I'm like, bro, you in my back pocket like a motherfucker. Like, yeah, I got a medical card. You can go check. You hit the database. You'll see it.
Right.
So, like, I think ever since, like, you saved my ass that day, bro, like, that's when they kind of, like, toned down with fucking with me. Because I really told my homegirl and my homeboy, like, dude, like, if Greg wasn't there, bro, like, I'm telling you, bro, like, I don't know what the fuck would have happened. Like, straight up. I wouldn't even know what would have happened if it wasn't for you.
Well, we're not gonna let anything else happen again.
I know, man. Hey,
right.
I mean, I know, man.
It's all but uphill from here. You know what I mean?